To define activities in the FAST scheduling system, go to the main page and locate the Add New Task or New Activity. Notice we've called them tasks in this particular display. Click on that and it takes you to the activity editor. The field then allows you to name the task. So I'm going to create a task called Setup. The earliest start time for this task will be the beginning of the horizon, which is June 1st at 8 a.m. And I'm going to say the latest finish time, I'll make it the 5 p.m. on the 30th. I triple clicked on this in order to get the calendar to come up. I'm going to say the setup task requires a time of 37 minutes. And the format here is 0 hours 37 minutes. 0:37. The priority box allows you to enter any number between 1 and 999. The lower the number, the higher the priority. I suggest that we skip that until we get to more advanced topics. Leave that set at 999 for now. The interruptible checkbox is asking whether or not you want this task to be interrupted so that it could start 2 minutes before the closing time of a day, flow around the downtime, and start up again the next day. For now, let's leave the default as non-interruptible. In other words, this 37-minute task must be performed in its entirety without interruption. We'll talk about work orders, the tags, description, and client information later. These are information fields that you can put in to help you retrieve information later in the process. Similarly, we'll talk about possibilities when we talk about scheduling and not scheduling. The main thing to do here is to define the resources that are required to perform this activity. So let's go down here to the Add Resource tab, click on it, and it allows you to define the class, type, and name of a resource. And these are pull-down menus with entries that you've already defined. So let's say we are going to require personnel to do this setup and a shop floor technician, and we're going to require Sam Smith. He's going to do the setup. The segments area here defines how long you want to use Sam Smith in this activity. The default says I'm going to use him at the beginning of the activity, and I'm going to use him for the entire 37 minutes. Alright, so we've defined a simple activity that requires one single resource by the name of Sam Smith, and we'll save that. And it tells you that the activity was successfully saved. If you've made an error that the system can detect, it will give you that error message here. Now let's define a new task by going to the Add New Task tab here in this editor. The advantage of this is it fills in all of the fields you've already filled in except for the new task name. This is handy if you're defining several tasks that are similar. Let's define a new task called Assembly 1. Now let's call it Assembly A. Its earliest start time will be the beginning of the horizon, and its latest end time the end of the horizon. If, for example, this task couldn't start until a certain date, you'd put the earliest start date some other time here. Latest end time could be the promised delivery date, so you cause this activity to be sandwiched between its earliest start and its latest end. This Assembly A is going to take a little bit longer. Let's say it's going to take 3 hours and 46 minutes. And we'll say this is still non-interruptible. Let's add some resources here. We've already required Sam Smith. Well, let's say that We don't care whether it's Sam Smith or Joe Jones. We'll put any in here, and the system will then select between the two. Let's say that we also need a forklift. We'll go back here and add the equipment. The class is going to be equipment. The type is going to be forklift. And we're going to require forklift number 1. Let's say we need the forklift only for the first 15 minutes of the task. There, we got it. And we need it again for the last, let's say, 46 minutes. So we're going to add a new segment, and it's going to go from 3 hours to 3 hours and 46 minutes. So we have now required the shop floor technician, either one, any of that type, and we've required the forklift for 15 minutes and again for 46 minutes at the end of the task. So we'll save that. Now let's say that this assembly task has to be done after the setup is done. So we'll go down here to the predecessors, click on the blue Add Predecessor tab, and select from the provided menu the setup task as a predecessor, and we'll add that. And don't forget to save any changes we make to that activity. So we'll exit out of the activity editor, and notice our 2 tasks now show up on the Not Scheduled list on the main page. Assembly A and Setup. So that's how you define activities in the FAST scheduler.